A viral influencer with millions of followers is accusing me of bullying her for 3 years. Those 3 years, I was in military school, calibrating missiles. The influencer with 10 million followers cried on livestream, tears streaming down her face like rain on petals, claiming I had bullied her for 3 whole years. The entire internet erupted, photos, medical records, diary entries. The evidence chain was as complete as a textbook. She said with absolute certainty that she could identify me at a glance in a courtroom. Just one problem. During those 3 years, she mentioned, I entered the Gifted Youth Program at the National University of Defense Technology at age 14, 1,000 m away, calibrating missiles. I even forgot to go home for my own mother's birthday. How exactly was I supposed to be bullying her? Chapter 1. My name is Chang Yen. My job isn't something I can discuss in detail. Let's just say it's defense-related and I keep a low profile, practically invisible. How? Loki, my mom tells everyone her son is stationed somewhere as a soldier. She doesn't know the specifics, just that the pay isn't great. So, when my colleague Old Xiao kicked open the lab door with a face like he'd just seen a ghost, my first thought was, did my simulation model crash again? Quen, you're trending, man. I glanced up at him, then went back to typing. Oh, which journal published it? Not a journal. Old Xiao shoved his phone in my face. You're on the hot search, number 1 exploded. I frowned and took his phone. On the screen was a trending topic. Influencer Sunyani cries on livestream, accusing high school bully. What does that have to do with me? I was about to hand the phone back when my peripheral vision caught the expanded content below the headline. Famous streamer Sun Yan in last night's broadcast tearfully accused her high school classmate Chun Yan of 3 years of campus bullying. Chun Yan. I looked at my work badge. Chun Yan. Yeah, that's my name. Who is this? I handed the phone back to Old Xiao. Must be a namesake. Old Xiao's expression twisted even further. Bro, she posted photos. What photos? Your high school photos. I paused. My high school. Yeah, your high school. It's your face. Younger. Wearing a school uniform. I was silent for 3 seconds. Not because I was scared, because I was confused. Genuine, profound, soul-deep confusion. I entered the Gifted Youth Program at the National University of Defense Technology at 14. My high school years were spent in Chongsha. This MS Suanan, according to the trending topic, went to Linhai City. No. 1 high school, 1 in Hunan, 1 in Zhujiang, 1,000 km apart in a straight line. Even if I could travel 800 li a day, I couldn't have bullied her. Old Xiao. Yeah. Where's Linhai City? Somewhere in Zhujiang. My high school was in Chongsha. Old Xiao opened his mouth, then closed it. After a few seconds, he said, then who is she accusing? No idea. I looked back down, but it's definitely not me. Plenty of people share the same name. Wait. Old Xiao scratched his head. Bro, look at the comments. I didn't want to, but Old Xiao had already scrolled to the comments section. Docs Cheng Yan, 26, engineer at some research institute. Household registration in Linhai City. I stared at the screen, my pupils contracting slightly. The household registration was indeed Linhai. I was born in Linhai, left at 14, and never went back to live there long term. But these people only looked at the household registration, not the school records. The comments were already exploding. Guilty as charged. Bullied her and now acts like nothing happened. Share this. Let this scumbag face social death. That's it. A researcher. A wolf in sheep's clothing. Expressionless. I handed the phone back to Old Xiao. They dug up my photos. Photos are nothing. Old Xiao swallowed. They found your workplace. Approximate address. And someone posted your commute route. I stood up, walked to the window, and glanced down at the street. No one was waiting outside. Not yet, Old Xiao. Here, pull up the live stream replay for me. Why don't you watch it yourself? My phone fell into my water cup this morning. Old Xiao was silent for a beat. You work on missiles and your phone fell into a water cup. Don't ask. He pulled out his phone, found the replay, and set it on the desk. On screen was a delicately featured young woman. Her makeup slightly smudged from crying, but she cried with technique. Tears fell one by one. The makeup barely ran. The tip of her nose was faintly pink, and she looked utterly pitiable. The stream background was a warm-toned room with a cup of flower tea gone cold on the table. The atmosphere was perfectly staged. I don't know how much longer I can endure this, her voice trembled slightly. I've never spoken about this because I was afraid. I really was. A flood of heartbroken emojis end. Don't be scared, sis scrolled past. Those 3 years of high school were the darkest years of my life, she sniffled. He Chang good grades. So the teachers never disciplined him. I frowned. Good grades. No kidding. I was recruited by a university at 14. He would throw my books in the trash between classes, pour water on my chair during lunch break. And she went on and on. The details were so rich they seemed like real memories. But every Chang Yen that appeared in those details felt absurd to me because during the time those events supposedly happened, I was in a lab in Chongsha deriving formulas. Old Xiao, yeah, is the Chang Yen. She's talking about someone else with the same name. Possible. Old Shura thought for a moment, but she posted a photo. He flipped to a screenshot from the stream. It was an clears throat, old group photo, like from a class activity. Sunan Yen had circled one of the boys in red. I looked at it, then I went silent. That was indeed me. More precisely, it was a photo of me from the second year of middle school. That year, the school organized an event and took a group photo. 2 months later, I left. She used my middle school photo and claimed it was high school. In the photo, I was wearing a middle school uniform, but unless someone carefully examined the uniform style, there was no visible difference. Linhee's middle school and high school uniforms were the same color with only a white stripe on the cuffs carefully selected for the first time. I felt something was off. This wasn't as simple as mistaken identity. It felt like someone had deliberately dug up my information and stitched it onto a fictional story. Are people in the comments questioning it? I asked. Old Xiao shook his head. It's pretty much one-sided. She was a mental healing type of blogger before and the general public already liked her. Now she's crying like that. You know how it is. Once internet emotion takes over, nobody cares. Whether you have proof, I nodded. Snorts, I picked up the landline on the desk. What are you doing? Calling my mom, telling her not to look at her phone or go online for a while. The call connected. My mom's end was loud, like she was in a vegetable market. Mom. Oh, what made you think to call me? Someone spreading nonsense about me online. Don't believe it and don't look at it. What? Who's talking about you? Did you mess up at work? No. Someone got the wrong person. I'm handling it. Okay, that's fine. By the way, are you coming home for New Year's? We'll see when the time comes. I hung up. I turned to Old Xiao. Do you know any lawyers? The reliable kind. Old Xiao blinked. You're going to sue her? No. I sat back down in my chair. I'm going to make her say those words with her own mouth in a courtroom. And then I'll slap my academic records in her face. Old Xiao's mouth twitched. Bro, you're usually as quiet as a rock. But now you've got some fire in you. Can't a man have some fire when someone's throwing mud on him? Fine, I'll ask around. Old Xiao picked up his phone to send a message, then suddenly looked up at me again. By the way, do you even remember who this Sun Yin is? Middle school classmate of yours. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Still couldn't remember. Was there anyone with the last name Su in middle school? Why are you asking me? I didn't go to school in Linhai. Then I don't remember. What do you even remember from middle school? Formulas. Old Xiao took a deep breath. All right, I'm contacting the lawyer for you right now. You just sit here. Don't go online. I'm afraid your blood pressure will spike if you read the comments. My blood pressure has always been normal. That's because you haven't seen the photoshopped memorial portrait of you they're circulating online. I decided to listen to Old Xiao. I'd stay offline for now. Chapter 2. The next day, things escalated. The security office at the institute called me in for a talk, not a reprimand. Concern. Shurao Chang about the stuff online. You should know what's going on. Director Zhao sat across from me. His expression complicated. The institute has already received some complaint calls saying we're harboring. Well, the wording was pretty harsh, I asked. Does the institute believe it? Of course we don't. Director Zhao waved his hand. We know your file better than anyone. You entered the school at 14. Your academic record is continuous. No gaps whatsoever, but the people online won't listen to explanations. I'm already pursuing legal action. Good. Director Zhao let out a breath. If you need any support from the institute, just say the word. I might need a certified copy of my enrollment records. That's easy. I'll have the Academic Affairs Office issue it directly. Thank you, Director Xiao. When I walked out of the security office, old Xiao was waiting in the hallway. How'd it go? The institute side is fine. Good. Old Xiao fell into step beside me. By the way, I found a lawyer. My buddy's brother-in-law specializes in defamation cases, last name Lulu Bang. He can meet tonight, 7 o'clock that evening, a coffee shop near the Research Institute. Lu Xianbang arrived, 40-some, crew cut, wearing a gray polo shirt. He didn't look much like a lawyer, more like a PE teacher. Cheng Yan, he sat down, giving me an Yupandong look. You look younger than in the photos. Which photos? The ones online. He pulled out his phone. Before I came, I watched her entire livestream and I also surveyed the general public opinion. To be honest, he paused. To be honest, what Lu Jinbang smiled. That particular smile lawyers have when they see a case they can't lose. To be honest, I'm taking this case. It's even simpler than the corporate defamation case I handled last year. Why? Because your evidence is devastating. Lu Jinbang raised one finger. You entered the National Defense Science and Technology University's Gifted Youth Program at 14. Right. Continuous enrollment for 3 years. No possibility of returning to Linhai City in the middle. Right. She claims the bullying happened from freshman to senior year of high school. Those 3 years you were in Changsha, right? Even more. Lu Xianbong's expression grew more amused. You were in the Gifted Youth Program, not a regular high school. You never even took the Gaokao, right? So the high school classmate Cheng Yan, she talks about physically it's impossible for him to exist, right? Lu Xianbong leaned back in his chair, folding his arms. Chang Yan, do you know what her biggest problem is right now? No, she's too loud. Lu Jianbang said, if she just said a few things in a live stream, cried a bit and called it a day, you'd at most be looking at reputational damage. But what she done now, inciting online harassment, publishing your personal information, directing her followers to attack you. Personally, this isn't just ordinary defamation anymore. This borders on provocation and picking quarrels, I nodded. So, my recommendation is Lu Jinbang held up 2 fingers. First, don't respond online at all, not a single word, and then second, file the lawsuit directly. I can draft the complaint by tomorrow, but I suggest adding one more demand. Request a face-to-face confrontation. Face-to-face confrontation? Yes. A slight smile tugged at Lu Jianbang's lips, she said. Something in her live stream. Did you catch it? She said I'd recognize him the moment I see him in court. I thought back to that video. She did say that she dug her own grave. Lu Jinbang said she's painted herself into a corner when she sees you in person in court. She has to identify you and once legal proceedings begin. Every word she says carries consequences. What you're saying is let her swear on it in court that it was me. Yes, the harder she doubles down the better. Lu Jinpeng stood up, brushing off wrinkles that weren't there on his trousers. Once she's made her emphatic statement, you pull out your academic records. That moment, he didn't finish the sentence, but there was a professional excitement in his eyes. I understood this wasn't about slapping her face. It was about letting her run full speed into a wall on her own. Mr. Lu, why would she do this? I don't even remember this person. Lu Xianbang glanced at me. That's a question for after the trial. Right now, there's only one thing to do. Hold steady. Hold steady against what? Against the urge to explain yourself, he said. The less you say, the louder she gets. And the louder she gets, the harder she falls. I was quiet for a few seconds. Fine. On the drive back to the dorm, old Xiao was behind the wheel, and his mouth never stopped moving the entire way. What the hell is wrong with this woman? Why is she picking a fight with you out of nowhere? No idea. You really don't know her? I don't. Then how does she have a photo of you? That was the question I'd been turning over myself. That class photo from 8th grade. I didn't even have a copy of it in my own possession. There were only 2 ways someone could get their hands on it. Either they were at that event back then or they got it from one of my middle school classmates. Either way, it pointed to one thing. This Sun Yen had some kind of connection to my past. I just couldn't remember her. Honestly, I didn't remember much from before I turned 14. My head was full of everything that came after. Formulas, models, experimental data. Those 2 years of middle school were like a compressed file blurred down to just a few fragments. Old Xiao. Yeah, look into Linha. No, one middle school. The students enrolled between 2015 and 2018. See if there's anyone named Sun and Yen. Where am I supposed to dig that up? Don't you have a buddy in the Linhai Police Department? Old Xiao hit the brakes. Chang Yen, yeah, you walk around looking like the most honest, unassuming guy. But when it counts, your brain moves faster than my simulation program. So, can you check or not? I'll ask around. Chapter 3. Over the next 3 days, the online backlash brewed exactly the way I'd expected. Soon, Yen's fans started organizing. My social media accounts, which I barely used anyway, got flooded with tens of thousands of direct messages. The content ranged from "go die" to "may your whole family rot." Creative in its variety, colorful in its phrasing. The only thing they all had in common was that not a single person asked, "Where's the evidence?" Lu Jinbang was right. I couldn't respond, but my mom couldn't take it. On the third night, she called. Her voice was shaking. "Xia Yan, you tell Mom the truth back in high school. Did you bully someone?" "Mom, it's not that I don't believe you, but that girl was crying so hard. You were a bit quiet as a kid, but you're not that kind of person." "Right. Tell Mom." "Mom," I cut her off. "Where did I go?" "To high school." There was a pause on the other end. "Chongsha, right? I left when I was 14. She's saying I bullied her for 3 years at a high school in Linhai. "Mom, I wasn't even in Linhai." A long silence. Then I heard my mom sniffle. "Then why is she saying it was you?" "I don't know, but I've already hired a lawyer." "Don't get into any fights." "Mom, I'm going to court." "Not a street fight." "Oh, okay. Good." She paused again. "Sure, Ao Yen." The neighbor lady, Aunt Zhang, looked at me differently today. My grip on the phone tightened. "Mom, this will be resolved soon." "Okay, Mom believes you." The call ended. I sat on the edge of my dorm bed staring at the street light outside the window for a long time. Then I picked up the notebook on my desk, flipped to a blank page, and wrote a single line. Sunenyan Linho 1 Middle School 2015-2018. Old Xiao hadn't gotten back to me yet. I added another line. Photo source. On the 4th day, Old Xiao came through, found her. He handed me his phone. The screen showing a block of text. Sunan Yen, female, born 1999, enrolled at Linha No 1 Middle School from 2015 to 2018, same year. There was a boy named Chang Yen. Note the character. It's Yen as in elegant, not Yen as in expand. I stared at those two characters, Chang Yen. Chang Yen, one character off. What about this Chang Yen? My buddy looked into it. This guy went abroad right after graduating in 2018. He's in Canada now. Barely uses social media. There's not much to find domestically. What does he look like? Couldn't find a photo, but apparently he's pretty tall and did well academically. I closed my eyes, so maybe she mixed them up. Mistook Chang Yen for Chang Yen. Could be. Old Xiao said the names are one character apart, both from the same city. And the photo, your middle school class picture compared to the high school boys a few years apart. People change a lot. She might have genuinely misidentified you, but I shook my head. No. What's wrong? If it were just mistaken identity, how did she find my current workplace? My photos, my daily routes. Old Xiao's mouth opened, then closed. That kind of information doesn't just surface from a casual search. I said, my firm isn't exactly a public institution. Either she hired someone to dig specifically or she knew exactly who I was from the start and she also knew the person who bullied her wasn't me. Old Zhao's expression shifted. You're saying she's doing this on purpose? Not certain, but I can't rule it out. Then what's she after? I thought for a long time. I couldn't figure it out. Whatever she's after, I said standing up. We'll see her in court. Lu Jinbang moved fast. On the 5th day, the lawsuit was filed. On the 7th day, the court accepted the case. On the 10th day, Sun and Yan received the summons. Her reaction was interesting. The day she got the summons, she went live again. I didn't watch it. Old Xiao took notes for me. Apparently, she cried even harder in that stream, saying, "I can't believe the bully not only won't apologize, he's suing me." The comments were one-sided again. My heart breaks for her. This piece of trash has the nerve to file a lawsuit, crush him in court. When Lu Jinbang heard the summary, he laughed out loud over the phone. Perfect. She's stacking the deck against herself. What do you mean? The more adamant she is now, the more she ties herself to the narrative that Cheng Yan is the bully. When the truth comes out, the public's outrage will rebound on her twice as hard. It's called expectation gap. So, we don't have to do anything, right? Do nothing. Let the bullet fly for a while. Chapter 4. The court date was set for November 15th. In the days leading up to it, I went to work. I ran my data. I kept my head down. Life went on mostly unchanged, except for the occasional spike in my blood pressure when I scrolled past another socially dead comment thread. Those little hits of public humiliation delivered straight to my phone screen. My mother, though, wasn't doing well. She told me that Aunt Zhang next door now crossed the street to avoid her. At the vegetable market, people whispered behind her back, pointing, "That's her son, the bully." All I could tell her was to hold on. Almost there. November 13th, 2 days before the trial. Lu Jianbang called me in for one final round of trial preparation. All the materials are organized. He slid a folder across the table toward me. I opened it. Page 1, the admission notice to the National University of Defense Technologies junior class, dated 2015. Page 2, a full-time enrollment certificate covering 2015 to 2018, stamped with the official seal. Page 3, a summary of my academic records from the junior class program with a note reading, "Boarding student, no leave of absence records during the period." Page 4, records of my participation in research projects during my time at the university. Page 5, home phone call records from 2015 to 2018. Proving I had not returned to Linhai City once in those 3 years, I closed the folder. Is this enough? Lu Jinbang shook his head slightly. These are the nuclear bombs, but I've also prepared a hydrogen bomb. What? He pushed another document across the table. I opened it. It was a comparative analysis report. I had my assistant investigate the evidence Sunan Yan displayed in her live stream. Lu Jinbang said. The photos, the medical records, the diary, each one verified, and the photo, it's the group photo from your second year of middle school. She presented it as a high school photo, but if you zoom in on the sleeve of the school uniform, the middle school and high school styles are different. Her fans never noticed. A judge will the medical records. The medical records are real. She does have a documented diagnosis of psychological trauma, but Lu Xianbang tapped the page. The records don't name the perpetrator. She added the name Chen Yan herself during the live stream. The diary. The diary is even more interesting. Lu Jinbang's expression shifted into something subtle. She showed several handwritten pages during the live stream. Pages that did describe being bullied, but I had a handwriting and materials analysis done. The paper and the ink don't match the claimed time frame. What does that mean? The paper is new. The ink is from the past 2 years. That high school diary was most likely written recently. I leaned back in my chair. A social media influencer. Millions of followers. Carefully planned, deliberately constructed, maliciously fabricated. Why? Attorney Lu. Yes. What do you think she's after? Lu Xianbang looked at me. Traffic. That's it. Don't underestimate traffic. He said, a blogger with millions of followers. How much commercial value can one accusation of bullying livestream generate? Sympathy traffic is the easiest to monetize. Tips, sponsorships, brand deals, one solid campaign, and 10 million is not a fantasy, so I'm just her monetization tool. From a business logic standpoint, yes, Lu Jianbang gathered the files. She needs a bully to complete the narrative. And you living far away with an extremely narrow social circle, practically invisible online, are the perfect target. She assumed you wouldn't fight back. I was silent for a long time. The street light outside cast a pale rectangle of light across the table. Or she assumed that even if you did fight back, you couldn't. Lu Jinbang added, you're a researcher, not a public figure. What do you have to go up against 1 million followers? The law. Exactly. Lu Jinbang stood up. See you the day after tomorrow. Chapter 5. November 15th Court. I wore a dark blue shirt. My hair was cut short. I'd shaved. Lu Jianbang had said courtroom attire mattered. Just dress clean and sharp. Don't wear a suit. Too deliberate with your demeanor. Showing up plain is enough. The court was in Linhai City. I'd taken 3 days of leave to fly back. Departing from Changsha, landing, then taking a bus to the courthouse entrance. On the way there, one thought kept circling in my mind. I hadn't been back to the city in 12 years. I left at 14. I returned at 26, not to visit family, to fight a lawsuit. Pretty ironic. There were people outside the courthouse holding up phones, recording. A group of Sun and Yen's fans had gathered, holding signs that read, "Justice for Sun." As they stood by the entrance, when they saw me, someone recognized me immediately. Cameras swung toward me and the insult started. That's him, the bully. Shameless. How dare he show his face? I walked through them with a blank expression. Lu Jianbang walked beside me and murmured, "Don't look back." I didn't. We entered the courtroom. Sun Yan was already there, seated at the plaintiff's table. Today, she wore a plain modest dress. Her hair was loosely tied back. Her makeup light. The overall effect was one of fragility, innocence, a delicate vulnerability. She had 2 lawyers with her, a formidable lineup. When she saw me enter, her body visibly tensed. Then she quickly lowered her head, projecting an air of fear. The gallery was well populated. Several people in the audience were live streaming on their phones. The judge struck the gavel. Court was in session. Sun Yen's side presented first. Her lawyer spoke quickly with righteous indignation. Describing the defendant's continuous bullying of my client over a 3-year period during high school, including but not limited to verbal abuse, social isolation, physical altercations. I sat at the defendant's table. Motionless, Lu Jianbang flipped through his folder beside me, occasionally scribbling a note and sliding it over. Let them finish. After the plaintiff's statement concluded, the judge addressed Sun and Yen. Plaintiff, you confirm that the defendant is the person who bullied you. Sunny Yen stood up. She looked at me. Her eyes re-ened. Her lips trembled slightly. It's him. Her voice wavered, but it was firm. I could never mistake him. 3 years of nightmares. I'll never forget his face. The judge asked again. You confirmed the bullying occurred between September 2015 and June 2018. During your time at Linhai City? No. One high school? Yes. Sun and Yen nodded. From freshman to senior year, 3 full years, the judge turned to our side. Defense, please present your statement. Lu Jianbang stood. He didn't rush. First, he adjusted his cuff. Then he offered a faint smile. Your Honor, the defense's statement is simple. 3 documents will suffice. He opened the folder and pulled out the first document. This is an admission notice issued by the National University of Defense Technology's junior class in August 2015. The admittee Chang the courtroom went quiet for a moment. Whispers rippled through the gallery. Lu Jianbang pulled out the second document. This is a student status certificate issued by the Academic Affairs Office of the National University of Defense Technology, confirming that Cheng Yen was continuously enrolled at the university from September 2015 to June 2018 as a boarding student with no records of leaving campus during that period. Sun Yen's expression showed its first crack. Her lawyer leaned in and murmured something to her. Lu Xianbang pulled out the third document. This is a summary of the defendant family's communication records from 2015 to 2018, proving that Cheng Yen never returned to Linhai City during those 3 years. He handed the 3 documents to the court clerk. Then he turned to Sun Yini. The plaintiff claims that the defendant bullied her in Linhai City from 2015 to 2018. But the fact is the defendant never set foot in Linhai City during those 3 years. He was in Changsha, 1,000 kilometers away. The courtroom fell completely silent. Not the silence of calm. It was the vacuum of everyone absorbing information at once. Sun and Yen's face went white. Not a literary description. It was real, visible, the color draining from her skin in a way you could watch happen. Her mouth opened slightly. No sound came out. Her lawyer stood up. My client needs time to verify. The judge raised a hand, cutting him off. Plaintiff, you previously claimed that you could recognize the defendant at a glance in court. Do you now confirm that the defendant sitting across from you is the same classmate who bullied you at Lynn High? No. One high school from 2015 to 2018. Sun Yan's gaze darted between me and her lawyer twice. I looked at her expressionless. Her voice was dry. I'm sure it's him. He is Chang Yan. Lu Jinbong picked up the thread. His voice wasn't loud, but every word drove in like a nail. That's right. He is Chang Yan, but he was never a student at Lin High. No, one high school. The high school classmate Chang Yan, the plaintiff refers to Lu Xianbang paused. Does not physically exist. A faint gasp escaped someone in the gallery, then murmurs, then a growing buzz of discussion. The judge banged his gavel order. Sunan Yan sat in the plaintiff's seat, both hands gripping the fabric of her skirt. Her lawyer whispered something in her ear, his expression dark. I leaned back in my chair, watching it all. No waves inside me, just the feeling that what's meant to come will come. Chapter 6. The trial didn't end that day. Sun Yan's side requested an adjournment, citing the need to verify new evidence. The judge granted it. A new date would be set, but it didn't matter anymore because someone in the gallery was live streaming by that afternoon. Clips of the courtroom session had spread across the entire internet. The video quality wasn't great. The angle was crooked, but it captured the whole process clearly enough. Luan Bong's composure as he presented the evidence. The close-up of Sun Yan's face going pale and those 5 seconds of silence after the words does not physically exist. Public opinion did a complete 180 within an hour. The trending topics changed over Sunan Yan's false accusation confirmed. Plaintiff provides student records. National University of Defense Technology junior class proves Chang Yan wasn't in Lin High for high school. 10 million follower influencer exposed. Was the 3-year bullying story fabricated? I closed the newsfeed, not because I didn't want to look, because I knew this wasn't over. Sure enough, the next day, Sun Yan posted a long statement. It wasn't an apology. It was a clarification. I admit there may be memory errors in the details, but I did suffer severe bullying in high school. That pain is real. I may have confused the timeline and the person, but that doesn't mean my experience was fabricated. I beg everyone to give me time, to give me a chance to explain. The comments section split down the middle. Some fans were still defending her. Memory errors are understandable. She has psychological trauma after all. Others weren't buying it anymore. Confused, you pointed at him and said, I recognize him. At a glance, that's called confusion. You can misidentify someone for 3 years and the evidence was so elaborate. How do you explain the handwriting analysis? That diary was newly written, right? Lu Jinbong called me. Did you see her statement? Yeah, expected. Lu Xianbang said she's cutting her losses, trying to reframe herself from deliberate false accusation to memory error. That way, even if she loses the case, she can push the blame onto psychological issues and keep some of her followers. Can she pull it off? Depends on how the judge rules. He paused. But I still have a card I haven't played. What card? The handwriting analysis report. That diary was forged later. This isn't a memory error. This is deliberate fabrication of evidence. When are you submitting it? Second hearing. Lu Xianbang said. Let her struggle for a while. First, I hung up. I sat in the hotel room looking out at the night view of Lin High City. 12 years this city had changed a lot. High-rises and shopping malls everywhere. The little streets and alleys I remembered were probably long gone. My phone buzzed. A WeChat chat message from old Xiao. Bro, you've gotten pretty famous lately. Everyone at the firm is talking about you. The genius from the junior class getting hit with a celebrity false accusation. Several female colleagues came asking if you're single. I replied with 2 characters not taken. Want me to hold them off for you? Yeah, I put down the phone. Time to sleep. Still things to do tomorrow. Early the next morning, Lu Xianbong's assistant sent me a message. Brother Chang Yan, there's something you might want to know. We found out the relationship between Sun Yan and Chang Yan. A file was attached. I opened it. It was a compiled dossier. Sunan Yan Lin Hai No. 1 high school class of 2015. Shang Yan Lin Ho. 1 high school class of 2015. Same class. The 2 were indeed classmates. And according to testimony from former classmates who could still be reached, Chang Yan did bully Sun Yan during high school. But Chang Yan went abroad after graduating in 2018. He's currently in Canada, basically unreachable with his domestic social circle completely severed. In other words, Sun Yan was indeed bullied. The perpetrator's surname was indeed Chang, but it wasn't me. She had replaced Chang Yan with Chang Yan. What the last page of the file was an assistance note. After Chang Yan went abroad, he essentially vanished. There was no public persona in China that could be attacked. Chang Yan, on the other hand, though Loki, had verifiable workplace and household registration information under his real name. Our guess is that Sunani's team chose a substitute with the same name, one that could be found, but wouldn't fight back. I stared at that for a long time. A target that wouldn't fight back. That was why I had been chosen, because I kept a low profile. Because I didn't go online. Because I had no followers. Because the nature of my work meant I could never show my face on social media, her team figured. Even if I found out, I'd just have to swallow my teeth and choke them down. Researcher, what could he do? Go online and argue with 10 million people. They thought I wouldn't dare and couldn't. They miscalculated one thing. I didn't need to argue with anyone. I just needed one enrollment certificate. Chapter 7. Second hearing. November 28th. This time, the gallery was packed. Not just Sunani's fans, several media outlets had shown up and a few legal self-media bloggers were doing live broadcasts with their equipment outside the courthouse door. This case had become a public event. Sun Yan's state this time was completely different from last time. Last time she was carefully dressed in fragility. This time there were dark circles under her eyes. Her makeup clearly meant to hide exhaustion. Her whole body wound tight. She had changed lawyers. The new lawyer was a middle-aged woman who looked far more seasoned than the previous two after the court opened. The new lawyer spoke first. Your Honor, my client admits that there was indeed a memory error when she identified the defendant. However, we must emphasize that my client did suffer severe school bullying during her high school years. This fact is corroborated by hospital diagnostic records. We are willing to apologize to the defendant for the misidentification and we hope both parties can resolve this through mediation. Mediation refused. Lu Jianbang stood up clean and decisive. The new lawyer's brow furrowed. The defense. Your Honor. Luan Bang cut her off. My side refuses mediation and will submit additional evidence. He opened his folder. This is the handwriting analysis report for the high school diary that the plaintiff displayed during her live stream. The document was submitted. The conclusion, the paper is from a 2023 production batch and the ink used does not match common brands available during the high school period. There is a clear contradiction between the diary's writing date and the 2015 to 2018 period. The plaintiff claims it covers Sun Yan's fingers were starting to tremble. I could see it sitting across from her only a few meters apart. Her fingers were interlaced and clenched tight. The knuckles going white. Lu Jianbang continued. Additionally, my side has collected witness statements from the plaintiff's former classmates. He submitted the second document. All three witnesses confirmed during 2015 to 2018 at Linhai No-1 High School. The person who bullied Sun Yan was a Chang Yan, not a Chang Yan. The two are different people. A low murmur rippled through the courtroom. The judge struck the gavel for silence. Lu Jianbang didn't stop. In other words, the plaintiff is not suffering from memory error. She clearly knows who her bully was. She simply chose an easier target to attack. He turned to Sun Yan. Plaintiff Chang Yan is currently in Canada. Inactive on social media with almost no public information in China. My client Chang Yan has household registration in Linhai and a verifiable workplace. You chose him because you thought he wouldn't fight back. Sun Yan's new lawyer shot to her feet. Objection. The defense is engaging in speculation. I am not speculating. Lu Xianbang's voice overpowered hers. I am stating logic. The evidence is already on the table. The photo the plaintiff holds as a group photo from when the defendant was in 8th grade, not a high school photo. The plaintiff's diary was recently fabricated. The plaintiff's former classmates have identified the real perpetrator as someone else entirely. These 3 points taken together form a complete chain of deliberate false accusation. He looked at the judge. My side requests the court to determine the plaintiff's actions do not constitute memory error or misidentification, but rather the deliberate fabrication of evidence. Malicious defamation of the highest order. On this basis, we seek to hold the plaintiff civilly liable for tort as well as possible criminal liability. Silence. The entire courtroom was silent for about 10 seconds. Then Sun Yen cried, not the refined, restrained, one tear at a time, crying from her last livestream. It was the kind where her whole body curled into the chair, shoulders heaving, snot and tears smeared across her face. Her new lawyer bent down and spoke to her in a low voice for a long time. Then she straightened. Your Honor, my client is emotionally unstable. We request a brief recess. The judge glanced at Sun Yen. 15-minute recess. Gavel struck. During the recess, Lu Jinbang led me to the end of the hallway. How are you? He asked. How am I? What? How are you feeling? I thought about it. Nothing special. Lu Xianban looked at me, then said nothing more. 15 minutes later, we returned to the courtroom. Sun Yen had sat back down, eyes red, but no longer crying. Her lawyer stood. Your Honor, my client has something to say. The judge nodded. Sun Yen stood up. Her voice was hoarse, as if her throat had been swollen from crying. Was indeed bullied. She paused. Those 3 years were real. Every single day was real. Another pause. But that person wasn't him. She finally looked at me, eyes red and swollen, lips pale. I knew it was Cheng Yen. I always knew. The courtroom fell silent again, but Cheng Yen left. He went abroad. I couldn't find him. I couldn't reach him. All his social media was deactivated. It was like he had vanished from the face of the earth. Her voice grew quieter. I went to a psychologist and the doctor told me I needed to learn to let go, but I couldn't. Every night when I closed my eyes, I could still see him throwing my textbooks into the trash. I could still hear him calling me worthless. She took a breath. Then one day, my manager told me, your traffic is dropping. You need an event. Someone in the gallery cursed. And the judge's gavel cut them off. She gave me the idea. Said I could talk about high school. Said that kind of material was the easiest way to spark empathy. But Cheng Yen was nowhere to be found. And if I talked about someone who couldn't be found, there was no opponent. The topic wouldn't gain traction, she said. Why not swap in someone else? The name was close enough anyway. Both of them were surnamed Chang. Sun Yen lowered her head. I agreed. Her voice was barely audible now. I'm sorry. Those 3 words were aimed at me, but she never looked up, and I said nothing. The air in the courtroom felt like it had turned to stone. Finally, it was the judge's voice that broke the silence. The plaintiff's statement is hereby recorded by this court. This case will be scheduled for judgment at a later date. Court adjourned. The gavel struck. Chapter 8. Walking out of the courthouse. The sunlight outside made me squint. The fans holding signs at the entrance had mostly scattered. A few lingered in the distance. Signs hanging limp at their sides, expressions awkward like they didn't know whether they should stay or go. A reporter rushed up. Mr. Chang, what do you think of Sunani's apology in court today? Mr. Chang, do you accept her apology? Mr. Chang. Luan Bang stepped in front of me. My client is not accepting interviews at this time. The case has not been decided yet, and everything will be based on the court's final judgment. Please pay attention rationally. He shielded me into the car. The moment the door closed, the noise outside was sealed off. I leaned back in the seat and closed my eyes for a moment. Tired? Lu Jinbang asked. No, then what are you thinking about? She said, sorry, yeah, but what good does sorry do? Lu Jinbang turned to look at me. My mom got cursed out in the vegetable market for a month. People pointing fingers at her back. My voice was flat. My colleagues got pulled into meetings because of what people were saying online. My personal information got leaked and someone was staking out my commute. None of that gets erased by a single sorry. Lu Jinbang nodded. So I won't accept mediation and I won't settle privately. I said whatever needs to be compensated gets compensated. Whatever needs to be judged gets judged. I'm seeing this through to the end. Understood. Luan Bang said. Then we wait for the judgment. Back at the hotel, I called my mom. Mom. Oh, how did it go? Did you win? Not decided yet. But today in court, she admitted it wasn't me. There was a beat of silence on the other end. Then I heard my mom sniffle. That's good. That's good. Mom, don't cry. I'm not crying. Her voice was thick. I'm just happy. My son's name is cleared. Yeah. When are you coming back? In a couple of days. I'll make you braised pork when you get home. Okay. I hung up. I sat by the hotel window, looking out at the skyline of Linshire. My phone had already blown up with messages. Old Xiao had sent over 20 voice messages, all basically saying, "Bro, you're a legend." The work group chat was buzzing, too. Someone had clipped a segment of the court footage and commented, "Cheng Yan's usually so quiet, but when it mattered, he was rock solid." A few calls came in from unknown numbers, probably reporters. I ignored all of them, but one message caught my attention. A friend request from an unfamiliar WeChat account. The verification message had only 4 words. I'm Cheng Yan. I stared at the screen for a long time. I didn't accept. I didn't reject either. I put the phone down and went to take a shower. The water was hot. And when it poured over my head, my mind went blank for a while. When I got out, I looked at the friend request again. Still there. I thought about it. Then I accepted. The reply came instantly. Cheng Yan, I saw the news. Yeah, I'm sorry. Another sorry. Why are you apologizing? I typed. If it weren't for what I did back then, she wouldn't have. She chose to frame me. I cut him off. That has nothing to do with what you did. Your problem is your problem. Her problem is her problem. Keep the two separate. He was silent for a long time. Then he sent a long message. I really was a piece of in high school. The stuff I did to her, it's true. After I went abroad, I grew up. And looking back, I regret it a lot. But I never knew what to do. I didn't even know what happened to her after that. Not until I saw the news this time. So, what are you planning to do? I'm thinking maybe I should come out publicly and admit it was me. Apologize to her, not to get her off the hook. It's because I owe her that apology myself. I read the message, thought for a moment. If you want to apologize, then go apologize, I said. But it has nothing to do with my lawsuit. I'm not letting her off just because you apologized. I know. Good. I exited the chat, put the phone down, went to sleep. Chapter 9. The judgment came down in mid-December. First instance verdict. Sunan lost the case. The court found that Sun Yan's actions constituted defamation of reputation and that there was malicious intent in fabricating evidence. The judgment. 1. Sun Yan must publicly post an apology statement on her social media platforms pinned to the top of her profile for no fewer than 30 days. 2. Sun Yan must pay Cheng Yan 230,000 yuan in compensation for emotional distress and reasonable legal costs. 3. Sun Yan's live stream account due to its involvement in spreading false information through online platforms shall be handled by the relevant platform in accordance with its service agreement. The day the judgment came down, Lu Jinbang sent me a message. Congratulations. I replied, thanks. Appreciate the hard work. Don't mention it. This case was the most satisfying one I've had all year. The public opinion online had already completely flipped. Sun Yan's account had lost over 6 million followers. The comments had gone from "poor sis, we support you" to "liar, get off the internet." Her agency issued a statement announcing the termination of her contract. Brands pulled her endorsements one after another. 3 days later, she posted that pinned apology statement. The wording was written by her lawyers by the book. No real emotion behind it, but I didn't care anymore. She apologized. She paid. She got every bit of the social punishment coming to her. That was enough. I'm not the kind of person who grinds someone into the dirt. I just wanted my name cleared. And now it was that same week, Cheng Yan made his move. He posted a long piece on his social media, publicly admitting that he had bullied Sun Yan during high school and apologized to her. It was written with sincerity, no excuses, no deflection. He listed what he had done item by item and then said, "I am ashamed of the 17-year-old version of myself." The comments section exploded. Some people cursed him. Some said, at least he had the guts to admit it. Some said, this doesn't erase Sunani's crime of framing Cheng Yan. But none of that had anything to do with me anymore. At the end of December, I went back to Linhai, not for the case. My mom insisted I come home for her braised pork at the dinner table. She kept piling food onto my plate while nagging. Look how skinny you are. Have you been eating properly out there? I eat. Then how are you this thin? Mom, I've always been like this. Fine, fine. Eat the meat. I lowered my head and ate. The braised pork was excellent. Rich dark sauce, perfect layers of fat and lean, melting the moment it hit my tongue. My mom sat across from me, watching me eat, smiling so wide the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes deepened. Oh, right. She suddenly remembered something. Auntie Jane came by last week. What for? To apologize. Said she'd misunderstood you before and was sorry. She even brought 2 cartons of milk. Oh, I accepted them. My mom said it with total conviction. She deserved to apologize. What are 2 cartons of milk compared to a whole month of me feeling wronged? The corner of my mouth twitched. Mom, as long as you're happy, of course I'm happy. She got up to fetch the soup from the kitchen. And as she passed me, she patted the back of my head. My son's name is cleared. Nothing makes me happier than that. After dinner, I stood on the balcony. Winter in Linhai wasn't that cold, but the wind carried the saltiness of the sea. I looked down at the street below. Cars coming and going. Lights glowing everywhere. My phone rang. Old Xiao. Bro, you back yet? The simulation project has a meeting tomorrow. And the data section you're responsible for flying back tomorrow. Got it. Oh, by the way, there's something I've always wanted to ask. Ask? You said those 3 years in the gifted class. You never once came back to Linhai, not even for New Year. No, that's brutal. A 14-year-old kid. I thought about who I was back then. 14 carrying a suitcase bigger than myself. Riding a train for 16 hours alone to check in at Chongsha for person dorm. My roommates were all 2 or 3 years older than me. Every night of the first semester, I was homesick, but I didn't dare call my mom, afraid she'd hear it in my voice. Eventually, I got used to it. Got used to eating alone, going to the lab alone, running data until the early hours by myself. Got used to being absent from other people's youth. There's no brutal about it. I said back then, I just thought since I'm in, I do it properly. Worry about the rest later. And now those things you said you'd worry about later. When are you planning to deal with them? I looked at the lighthouse blinking far out over the sea. No rush. Got it. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. I hung up. The wind poured in from the balcony. A little cold. I went back inside. My mom had already laid out the bedding in the guest room with a glass of warm milk on the nightstand. I picked it up and took a sip. Sweet. She remembered I liked it sweet. I set the glass down, turned off the light, and lay in bed. The ceiling was pitch black. My mind was blank. I just felt that chapter was closed. Really closed. Time to get back to work. Chapter 10. What happened next? Honestly, there wasn't much drama to it. After the verdict took effect, the apology statement stayed pinned at the top of her profile for a month. She didn't post anything during that time. Rumor has it she was in therapy. Her manager, the one who came up with the scheme to switch targets and stage the collision, got sued by Sun Yen herself. Breach of contract plus a betting infringement. I didn't follow the outcome. Not my business. Chang Yi's apology post sparked a broader conversation about school bullying. Several media outlets picked up the topic and interviewed multiple victims. That was probably the only genuinely positive side effect of the whole affair. As for me, in January, I went back to Chongsha Project Acceptance Thesis revisions, ran the data 3 times, and it still wasn't good enough. So, I retuned the parameters and ran it twice more. Life returned to its normal rhythm. The only difference, I started calling my mom occasionally, not because something came up, just to chat, asking what vegetables she bought today, what gossip Auntie Jang had shared, whether the new noodle shop downstairs was any good. She was always happy when she picked up. Almost too happy. So much so that one time, right before hanging up, she blurted out, "Son, are you seeing someone?" "No." "Then why are you suddenly calling so much?" "It's just a phone call. You never used to be like this." "I was busy before and now you're not still busy." "Then something's up." "Spill it." "There's really nothing. I just wanted to hear your voice." The line went quiet for a moment. Then my mom laughed. That kind of deeply satisfied, gentle laugh. Alright, then let Mom tell you about today's braised pork ribs. I leaned back in my lab chair and listened to her ramble for 15 minutes outside the window. Changsha's winter sky was a dull gray. The lab's heating was warm. The data was still running on the screen. Everything was perfectly ordinary. But I knew something had changed. That ridiculous lawsuit taught me one thing. There are people in this world who will hurt you for no reason. And people who will stand behind you without condition. You can't stop the first kind. Don't ever let down the second. So, this new year, I've decided to go home. The end. Hey readers, could you give this story a rating in the comments? 10-point scale, pretty please. And if you enjoy this kind of story, tap that follow button.